Hi, everyone. My name is Bob Dietrich. Welcome to the ADHD Toolbox, your resource for helping your children overcome behavioral and learning challenges and self-regulate. I'm very excited today because I have Dr. Edward Hallowell on the show today. Hi, Dr. Hallowell.
Hi, nice to be with you.
Nice to have you with us. If you Google Dr. Hallowell, or if you've been on Amazon and you Google anything about ADHD, Dr. Hallowell dominates the headlines. So you'll see all his books from Delivered from Distraction to Driven to Distraction.
Well, my latest book is a memoir called Because I Come from a Crazy Family, The Making of a Psychiatrist. But Driven to Distraction came out in 1994, and Delivered from Distraction came out in 2005.
Oh, I see.
Because I Come from a Crazy Family came out in 2019, and in all I've written 21 books. So it's a lot of different books, many of them about ADHD, but also a book about raising children called The Childhood Roots of Adult Happiness, a book about anxiety called Worry, a book about human connection called Connect, a book about forgiveness called Dare to Forgive, a whole bunch of books on lots of different topics. So I kind of write books about whatever interests me, and then I take it from there. And it's been a wonderful journey. Started writing books with Driven in 1994, and I'm about to come out with my next one. It'll be next November, not this coming November, but November of 2020.
Awesome. That's amazing. How did you get into writing about ADHD? What was the story behind that?
Well, when I discovered that I had it in 1981, I realized that it was really underappreciated in terms of the potential positives that go with it, and also that really most people didn't know about it at all. And so my chief resident in medical training, when you're a resident, you have a chief resident and sort of your chief mentor. And was a man by the name of John Rady. And he also had the condition. So we would get together and talk about it. We played squash together, and we've been very close friends ever since. And so he and I sort of made learning about this and learning from our patients, because there really wasn't very much written about it. And all through the 80s, we wrote about it, and then that culminated with the book in 1994, Driven to Distraction. And that, in many ways, that was the first popular book on the subject. It was, we didn't think it would sell much at all, but it's gone on to really sell pretty well, and bring the condition to the general public in a way that really surprised us. And it's still, though, a widely misunderstood condition. There's a lot of work to be done. It still unfortunately suffers from stigma and a lot of wrong information out there. There's just people who, including doctors, who don't understand, which is a lot of work to be done. And before I die, I hope we can get the general public to understanding, this is not, even the term attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is really misleading. My next book that I'm writing with John, the title is going to be From ADHD to VAST, a bold new understanding of talents, strengths, pitfalls, and success. And the VAST is our new term for the condition. We're going to call it variable attention stimulus trait. Variable attention stimulus trait, VAST. And the point in that is we see it as a trait. It can be a crippling disorder if you don't manage it right, but if you manage it right, it can be a tremendous asset in your life. The founder of JetBlue Airlines has it, the former CEO of AOL. Many leading entrepreneurs have it, many artists, many inventors. Thomas Edison was a classic. So if you manage it properly, it can take you to the heights. But if you don't, it can end you up in prison, or an addict, or unemployed, or marginalized. So It's a very, very unusual condition in that it can be terribly crippling or amazingly enabling, amazingly helpful, amazingly, or a little bit of both. It can be in part a detriment and in part an asset. And you know, my life's mission has been to help people make it mostly an asset and as little bit of a detriment as possible.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about the management. So what does that look like to a parent? A parent who maybe have a small kid or a preteen or a teenager. What does management look like to a parent, and how can a parent help their child manage ADHD?
Well, it all begins with understanding and framing it properly. You know, so you know you want to explain to your child what you've got here is a potential really good thing. So I tell my kids, I said, look, you've got a Ferrari engine for a brain. You've got a race car for a brain. You're really lucky. But there is a challenge that comes with it. You have bicycle brakes. So, you know, and they get that right away. You've got a race car for a brain with bicycle brakes. I say, but work with me because I'm a brake specialist. And, you know, if you work together with me and my team, over the years, we'll strengthen those brakes. And in many ways, it's a lifelong challenge strengthening those brakes. But that sums up the condition. You know, you've got a tremendously powerful brain. You've got a brain with amazing powers that most people don't have. But if you don't work on learning how to control them, they can run you out of control, run you into walls, crash and burn. So race car brain with bicycle brakes, and you frame it for the parents the same way. And let's work on those brakes, you know, work on gaining control over your impulses, gaining control over your energy, gaining control over your flights of imagination, gaining control over your curiosity, gaining control over your mind that just keeps going and going and going and going. But when you explain it to the child as a potential asset, and you explain to them it's not a deficit disorder, it's not some crippling disease that you need treatment for, that it's a potential asset that you need. You need a special mechanic just like a Ferrari does. You've got such a high-powered instrument in between your ears that you need special help in tuning it up. And that's the truth. You need special help in tuning it up. But if you get that special help, the sky's the limit. And that's the starting point. You want to make sure as a parent that you and your child and your spouse and your grandparents, in-laws, teachers, you got to get everyone on the same page, because there's just too many naysayers out there who can muck the whole thing up. And that's the starting point. And then you begin to strengthen the brakes. And you do that with structure. You do that with limits. You do that with exercise. You do that with getting enough sleep. You do that with good nutrition. And medication may or may not be part of the toolbox. Medication, when it works, is wonderful. Doesn't always work. It works about 80% of the time. So.
Got it.
But when it does work, it's a godsend.
If we can, let's break that down a little bit for the parents, and let's start with sleep. What is enough sleep? What is enough?
Nap, Bob?
Yes, actually, after this, I think I'm going to. So, how much is enough sleep? Is it like 8 hours sleep? Put them to bed early. What do you recommend when you talk to parents about sleep?
Well, your brain will tell you how much sleep you need. It's however much sleep it takes you to wake up without an alarm clock. And that varies from person to person, from age to age. But in general, it's how much sleep it takes for you to wake up without an alarm clock.
Awesome. Okay. So I would guess that you, as a parent, if you want them to wake up without an alarm clock, but they still need to be on time for school, you'll try.
Well, no, you have to get them up in time for school, so you can't just let them sleep.
Right.
And people with ADD, the problem is they tend to want to stay up too late, and then they're unarousable in the morning. And sleep can be a tremendous struggle, trying to get them to go to bed at a time when they can wake up in time in the morning.
Are there any strategies then to work with that, to help them get to bed earlier or calm down, or how do you handle that situation as a parent?
Yeah, it can take a lot of doing, but you want to try to ease into sleep. Sleep aids, melatonin is one that I favor. Certainly don't take your cell phone to bed with you. Don't take your electronic devices to bed with you. You can, find out what works for your child, but do set the expectation that you will have a standard bedtime, and don't have every night be a struggle around going to sleep.
Got it. Okay. So routine is important. Consistency, it sounds like, and just making sure that they get enough. And the weekends you can play with the alarm clock theory, right? And having them sleep as long as they.
No, the alarm clock theory is just so you know how much physiologically your child needs, and then you try to create the structure so that he or she gets that.
Right. Exactly.
You don't play with the theory on the weekends. You find out. It's just a good way of knowing how much sleep your child needs.
Okay. How about around nutrition? What is
low on sugar, high on whole foods. You want to pretty much everyone knows by now what a healthy diet is. The thing to try to avoid is sugar, processed foods. Stick with whole foods. Supplements, everybody has their own favorite supplements. I favor omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D. Magnesium, by the way, can also help with sleep. Magnesium at bedtime.
They have these the product called Calm now, right? And they use that for sleep aids and stuff. So I've seen that out there. Okay. All right. So those are some nutritional. Anything around carbohydrates or don't eat after a certain time. Anything like that. Any strategy?
Sounds like you have some ideas about that. But
yeah, I do, but I don't know that they're right.
Go ahead. We're all nutritionists these days, so
yeah, I know, right?
Let her rip. What do you think about carbs?
Well, I just think that after a certain time that you allow your body to shut down. About 6 or 7 o'clock, and try not to snack too much. And for myself, sugar is carbs, right? And carbs turn to sugar. So I would imagine that if you're trying to cut down on sugar, that you probably want to also not let them go overboard on carbs.
Sounds like a good idea.
There you go. Good. So what are some of the other tools that we discussed?
Well, physical exercise is huge. I mean, that's probably maybe the second most important one. The physical exercise is tremendously important. You just make sure they exercise vigorously every day. My colleague John Rady wrote a whole book about it called Spark, the revolutionary new science of exercise in the brain, and it's just tremendously compelling how good exercise is for your brain. It's good for the rest of your body. We all know that, but it's particularly good for your brain. John calls it miracle grow for your brain. It's like it helps you create new brain cells. It helps you, create new networks. It cleans out the bad ones and helps grow the new ones. It's physical exercise, just moving. You don't even have to go to the gym, just moving, walking, running, just stay in motion. It's very, very good. Kids really never hold them in from recess. Keep them moving, keep them going. Exercise tremendously important. The most important is human connection. I call it the other vitamin C, vitamin connect. Very, very, and it's disappearing from modern life. So, physical touch, friendship. Make sure your child is loved. We really don't get enough love. We don't even talk about love. I mean, so. Make sure your child gets enough love, affiliation, friendship. Get a dog. Oh my gosh, everyone ought to have a dog. If you can't get a dog, okay, a cat is acceptable. But, pets are tremendously important, hugely important. Have a pet, have a grandma, visit relatives, visit friends, have Sunday dinners or Saturday, whatever religious tradition you're a part of, celebrate it. Celebrate holidays, celebrate any excuse to celebrate, celebrate victories, mourn defeats, any excuse to get together. Vitamin Connect is hugely important for optimal functioning, no matter who you are, where you are. And it's missing in modern life because we're so electronically connected.
Mm-hmm.
We've started disconnecting interpersonally, and that's bad for us. It's why why the skyrocketing. Everyone scratches their head and wonders why school shootings, why elevation in anxiety disorders, suicides, depression, drug abuse. Why? It's perfectly obvious why. People are lonely. People feel disconnected. In the extreme, they get angry and kill people. But in the far more common, milder forms, they just feel disaffected. They and then they're depressed. They feel anxious. But the good news, the cure is at hand, is to reach out, connect, and find ways, join a club, get a dog, make a friend. It's not that hard to do. And fortunately, connecting is one of those things in life that's free and fun and good for you. Right. And in the case of ADHD, it's unfortunately, a lot of people with ADHD feel like outliers. So It's particularly important for them, for us, to do that. It's often not talked about. It's often overlooked because everyone jumps to medication or jumps to structure, jumps to coaching, which are very important, absolutely very important. But I think the one element that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and the one I try to champion every chance I can get, is connection. For some reason, people dance around it. It's too soft. I don't know, but it's harder than anything. It's I think the single most important. And when people take it seriously, they just brighten up. Nothing brightens a person up more than a satisfying relationship. Nothing brings a smile to a person's face faster than the mention of a name of a person they feel close to. Nothing. And we just don't put enough effort into cultivating that. Cultivating rewarding, close, loving relationships. They don't even have to be loving, just very liking. So if you can be deep in like with someone, that's enough to give your life meaning and sustainability. And a few deep in likes, and you've got it made. So that's not nearly prescribed enough. Not nearly enough.
So what do you say to the people who say, well, I get likes on my Facebook page. I have...
Oh, bullshit. Pardon my language, but that's absolute worthless. That's absolute nonsense. That's, that's completely, that's ersatz. That's phony. It's fake. It's nothing. It's, it's worth a grain of sand on the beach.
And the kids that are playing video games, they have their friends who they've never met, they've never been in physical contact with.
Absolutely nothing. It's nothing. Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah. So we're talking about in-person human contact.
Yeah, something that has heft, something that has meat on the bone, something that's real. Yeah. When you feel when your heart skips a beat, when you feel you're looking forward to something.
I think people out there really feel like, I got friends here. Look at all the friends I've got, and it's just not real stuff. And that's kind of, what I was getting to is like, these are not real. What we really mean is get out from behind your computer and go meet real people. Get your kids out in front of, into social groups. Get them
something you're looking forward to doing. Something you really, something that really makes you want to get out of bed. Right. Something you feel a passion for.
Excellent. Yeah. And I think that's the struggle. Kids are on their computers, 5-10 hours a day playing Fortnite or Minecraft, and they think they have friends that they play with. They're excited about playing with their friends, but they're not really getting the same.
And I'm not opposed to those things. I just want them to be doing something else too.
Also, got it. So mix it in.
Yeah.
If you're going to do this, you got to do this. So excellent.
Yeah.
So we talked about sleep, nutrition, exercise, social connection. You also mentioned medication, and I think some parents I know, because I've talked to them, are like, I definitely don't want to go on medication. I'm afraid of it. I don't understand it. And
well, 9 out of 10 parents who say that don't know what they're talking about. They are opposed to it without knowing what they're opposed to.
Right.
It's like saying I'll never fly.
Right.
and they've never flown. You know, I mean, you want to know what you're not doing before you not do it.
Right.
And you know, it's the blanket refusal before knowing what the facts are. And I am very happy to treat someone without medication. I just like their decision not to use medication to be rooted in fact rather than wrong information or lack of information. And it's usually both wrong information and lack of information, because if you have the facts, the informed decision is to give it a try, unless it's against your religion. You know, if you have the facts, there's no intelligent reason not to give it a try, unless, as I say, it's against your religion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you know, I wish people would take the time to get the facts. Certainly medication does not always work. In my own case, it does not work. Meds just give me side effects. But I won't prescribe to someone who doesn't want it. If someone says, okay, I agree with you, it's safe and effective, but I just don't want it, I said, well, you shouldn't take it. Mm-hmm. Because if in your gut you feel, I just don't want it, I know all the facts, but it goes against my grain, then you shouldn't take it. That's the equivalent to it being against your religion. You know, if it just goes against your grain, then you should not take it, and don't let anyone talk you into it. You know, if it goes against your grain, if anything goes against your grain, you shouldn't do it. It's like an arranged marriage. You shouldn't marry someone you don't want to marry, even if someone has told you to. You shouldn't take a medication you don't want to take, even if someone has talked you into it. Don't do it. If it goes against your grain, don't do it. Because it won't work very well, first of all. You know, if your mind is saying don't, your mind will oppose the efficacy of it. So, you know, your mind has got to want to do it for it to work, or at least for it to work very well. You know, ultimately your mind has the final say. And so if your mind is saying no, don't do it. And I'm always, you know, my patient's mind, I'm here to serve my patient's mind, not to make up my patient's mind. So I do want to inform my patient's mind. I want to give them the facts as I know them. And then it's up to them. Let the facts go into that percolator called the mind, and let them turn it over and come out with a decision. And you know, and medication is one tool in the toolbox. It's just one tool. We have many other tools. When medication works, it's a godsend. It's amazingly effective. But it doesn't always work, and it's not for everybody. So, you know, it's and unfortunately it becomes controversial in ways it doesn't need to be. You know, people ask me, do you believe in medication? And my answer is, it's not a religious principle. It's not a matter of my believing in it.
Right.
It's been scientifically assessed, and you know, it has its advantages and its disadvantages, and if we could just look at it that way, then we'd be on much more solid ground, and we wouldn't have the kind of debates that devolve into almost personal attacks.
Got it. So when I first talked to you, we talked a little bit about the best parts and the worst parts of ADHD. And a lot of people look at ADHD and they don't look at the best parts. They don't look at that there are advantages. And I think that's overlooked often. And I'd like to ask you, what are the best parts? What are the things that children have, or that adults have, that they can grow into, or whatever, about ADHD that are gifts, that are tools?
Well, when the condition is dealt with properly, just creativity, originality, think outside the box, spontaneity, usually a tremendous generosity, big-heartedness, tenacity, often to the point of being stubborn, never give up, always bounce back. These qualities, entrepreneurialism, ingenuity, these are qualities you can't buy and you can't teach, and you know, that's really the upside, and it's wonderful. You know, it's really wonderful. And then if you can take care of the downside, then you have a tremendously wonderful life to look forward to.
Right. So, like you said, you're born with it. You're born with this Ferrari engine.
Yeah.
You have the brakes, which I guess the brakes of a bicycle. And the brakes of the bicycle, I guess, are the worst parts of ADHD.
Right. You know, once you strengthen those brakes, then you've got it made. Then you're a champion in the making. What are the challenges? The challenges are the challenges posed by weak brakes. You know,
not being able to stop and control your mind.
Not being able to control all the energy that you've got going for you, which is, you know, tremendous. But you can learn how to do that through using the tools that we've talked about.
Got it. Well, thank you, Dr. Hallowell. Thank you for being on our show, and thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you check out Dr. Hallowell's newest books, his memoirs. What's the title of that book again, Dr. Hallowell?
The memoir is called "Because I Come from a Crazy Family: The Making of a Psychiatrist."
There you go. I think many of us can relate to that. So thank you for being on our show. Thank you for watching, and check out our next program coming up soon.